What's up, guys? How you all doing? Trust you guys are doing well. It's your boy Michael. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time coming across the channel, thanks for watching and please subscribe to the channel. Today, I'm going to be bringing a guest in that is going to be talking about how to become a nurse practitioner in United States. I've been receiving the questions about how to study nurse in America, and I felt that why not do a content about it. So today I have someone who has gone through the route, and she's going to be talking about the process of getting into a college or university, then life after college in terms of getting a job. She'll be talking about other things that has to do with nursing. So you guys should stay tuned and go nowhere. So welcome back, guys. So as I said earlier on, I have a guest. Her name is Chidinma. She used to be an international student, but now uh, she's working after graduating as a nurse. She'll be joining us. I'll be bringing her into the streaming now. You guys should stay tuned. Hello, Chidinma. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Can
Thanks
you hear me
for.
very well?
Yeah, I can hear you very well. I can hear you very well.
Good.
Thanks for
Okay,
joining.
no
So,
problem.
so can you introduce yourself to the viewer?
Okay, so my name is Chidinma and I'm a registered nurse here.
Okay.
Um, uh, yeah, that's what I do for a living at the moment.
Oh, okay. And before
Mhm.
we start, just to do some clarification based on what I said before you came in, um, did you study here in United States?
Yeah, I got my bachelor's here in the United States. Yep, I did.
Okay. So let's start with the first question. What's the process of being a nurse practitioner here in United States?
So to become a nurse practitioner is like the master's level of a bachelor's in nursing first program. So one has to get their bachelor's in nursing and then go in for a master's program. It's about a 2 years, 3 years program with some clinical hours you have to complete, and after that you write your board exam and you're you become a practicing nurse practitioner.
Okay. Based on what you said earlier on that um, you study here in America, and I believe under your status then was F1, which is international
Hmm.
student.
Hmm.
Uh, what's the process like for you for some of the viewer who are thinking of studying us here in United States and they are considered as an international student? So what's the process like for you?
So mine was a little bit different, and they're like I'll just like talk about like mine and then talk about like other ways. So for me, I got my first bachelor's in public health. When I came into America with an F1 visa to go to school for public health. I graduated with public health, had my OPT, which enabled me to work for a year. But before my OPT, I did like an internship at the ending of my program. So that was like a CPT. So the CPT enabled me to get a job. And when I graduated, so I graduated while doing an internship. So I worked with the company, the organization I worked with for like a year and 6 months because I had my CPT and it kind of aligned with my OPT. So after that, I applied to get another bachelor's degree, and this bachelor's degree is bachelor's in science of nursing. And this other bachelor's is a different route because it's like bachelor's in science of nursing as a second degree. That's what the program is called. So um, the different states have the rates they work in that ways. And I graduated from Georgia. Georgia would have been my first choice to go back to nursing school, but Georgia was giving me 2.5 years to complete another bachelor's degree. So I
Wow.
had to move upstate, and upstate has a better program because there are programs for 18 months and 1 year, which is 12 months. It so I still had to be under my F1 visa, so I needed to look for a school that could sponsor F1. So I went to a
Hmm.
school upstate New York and got my another bachelor's degree under 11 months plus thereabout.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So after that, wrote my board exam, which is called an NCLEX, NCLEX, and that's like a board certification. And with that, it's like a Canadian American board certification. So if you write that exam, you're a licensed registered nurse, or you're a registered nurse, I would say you're a registered nurse. And that can enable you to work either in Canada or remain here in the US to work.
Oh,
So
wow.
you have that option. So that was my part. But there are people that come in, and as an international student, you go to like an associate program, which is like a 2 years program, and you can get an associate in nursing, which is lower than a bachelor's in nursing. But the interesting thing is that you will still have to write that NCLEX exam to make you a
Hmm.
registered nurse. So you can be a registered nurse in that way and then go back to school and get a bachelor's degree still in nursing. All you just have to do is just general classes. So
Hmm.
that's kind of the pathway, or you can just apply directly into a school for bachelor's in nursing and just graduate after 4 years.
Thanks for that explanations. But before we go ahead,
Mhm,
you said something about schooling in New York. Does
mhm.
I mean, for the fact that the duration over there is a little bit lenient compared to like
Mhm,
Georgia,
mhm.
what is the tuition like? Because I know most international students are always wary of the tuition. So can you share more light on that?
Yeah, the tuition was really expensive. It's very, very expensive. I know it's just a 1 year program, but I know the cost of, but there are other cheaper schools, but the one I went to for the like it's 3 semesters because it was like spring, summer, fall. And for that program, I want to say it was like 70K, I believe.
Hmm,
I think I'm not 100% sure, but because I worked for a non-profit organization
hmm,
when I finished my first bachelor's and everything, and I had a very interesting experience with different things. I was opportune to get a bunch of like a scholarship that kind of like gave me the ability to pay little to nothing when I went for the program. So, but I knew that my classmates had to um, cough out some of those money, and it was a lot for them. So, but
okay.
mine was quite different because I was able to get some scholarship.
Okay, okay. You were able to get some scholarship. Okay,
Mm.
what if someone is just coming from maybe Africa and they don't have a prior experience in public health? They are just starting from beginning. Is there any
Yeah.
platform in terms of scholarship that you know
Mm-hmm.
to make
My
the tuition?
school, I did not personally get the scholarship outside my school. My school gave me the scholarship. And I remember there's a Nigerian guy that came 2 semesters after I came because I was already graduating when I met him. And he was also from Nigeria, I believe. And he never had any experience in with the US system, like in terms of he didn't get his bachelor's here. And I think he already had a master's program. Yeah, so what he did was that when he came here, he just found a school, did his prerequisites.
Okay.
Prerequisites are classes that you're meant to do that qualifies you to get into the nursing program. So whether you're doing the 2 years the associate program, or you're doing the bachelor's program, or you're doing like what I did, bachelor's as a second degree, sorry, nursing as a second degree, you need those prerequisites. So the prerequisites can be from anatomy 1 and 2 to statistics to psychology and other chemistry and all other classes you have to get done. So this young man had those classes done and then applied to my school and he got a scholarship. I think they look at this the scholarship to me it was kind of like diversity scholarship. So if you have, and this young man, I believe he said he did his first degree Nigeria, then went to like I think it's like Hungary or one other Eastern Europe country to do his masters, and then from there came to America for this bachelor's. So
Wow.
just that, so the program was just a diversity leadership program. So what the scholarship kind of looks at is like, being, for me, I believe when I, questioned my, you know, how I got the scholarship, me being African or being black, coming here, going to school, getting my bachelor's degree, and then working in a non-profit organization, that's qualified me according to them. But I know some other people, um, like this gentleman, like I said, him too, I believe is gonna be kind of that the same way because my school I went to was pushing for diversity in terms of background and in terms of race. So that could help one to like, qualify for something, you know, just that diversity can help a lot.
Thank you for explaining that. And before we go ahead, I would like to say something to. I'd like to say something, about the tuition you just mentioned. I want to
Mm-hmm.
encourage whoever that is watching it. Don't let maybe the tuition really scared you away. You never can tell if you are going to get scholarship. So don't let
Yeah.
that scare you away. Just give it a try, and you will see how that goes for
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So another
totally
thing I
support
want
that.
to
Just give it,
say,
always give it a try because to me, when I got the school fees, I was like, I didn't know how I was gonna afford it, but
hmm,
um, the school will actually let you know before you move forward if you qualified for any form of tuition benefit, and they will let you know. So yeah, it's worth it.
so you guys heard what she said now is worth giving it a try. So don't let the
Mm-hmm.
tuition discourage you. Thank you for explaining that. And another question I really want to ask is what do registered nurse really do? But before then, can you just tell us if we have the different types of nurses that we have, and which one is the common?
So let's start from when you graduate as a nurse. So you graduate as a nurse from school. Like I said, you write this NCLEX exam, which makes you a registered nurse because you've passed it. When you pass this exam, you begin to apply for jobs. As a registered nurse, you are qualified to apply to. Okay, so it's a lot of changes now.
Okay.
Um, when I graduated from nursing school, there were very little hospitals, and these hospitals they are mostly called magnet hospitals. And why it's called magnet hospitals are because they only employ bachelors of science in nursing. So like I said, we have associate and bachelors. So magnet hospital employ just bachelors,
Hmm.
and you have to go through like a program with them. They have to bring you in, train you for like a certain period of time before you can start working, which goes along with other hospitals. But
Before you go ahead, does that
yeah,
apply to every hospital? Like
yeah,
when
so
you work with them, they have to
yeah,
train you afresh
yeah,
again?
Yeah, so I'll explain it to you. So this was prior to, so now after COVID happened, though COVID is still there, but yeah, COVID is still there, but now like out after the whole epidemic happened, I would say hospitals are finding a way to like hold nurses or hold their staffs into a form of commitment.
Hmm.
So what does that mean is that when you graduate, you can apply for any job. And I mean any job, it's any department. Whether you want to be an oncology nurse, which is you're helping with cancer, or you want to be a pediatric nurse. And there are different levels of pediatric. We have the pediatrics, we have the oncology pediatric, we have the NECUs, which is like the neonatal ICU. You can apply for the regular adult ICU. You can apply for med surge, which is the most common med surge. You can apply to be an observation nurse, or you can apply to be in the clinic, or you can apply to as much as any department they have in a hospital. You can apply for any emergency room, whatever. Everything is open as long as there's an opening for that position in the hospital you want to apply to. So that's just a good thing. Mostly when you finish as a nurse, they always you know, tell you to start with med surge, but sincerely, you can start with anything at all, any position you think that is fascinating to you as an individual. You can start there. And the good thing is that when you apply for a position and you're getting bored, you can always switch to something else, some other department. Like for instance, I started as a when I started, it was in the middle of pandemic. So, anyways, I was thrown into the COVID floor. So I kind of like cared for COVID patient majority of the time. But before that, my position was to be an observation nurse, which is like a an extension of the emergency room. So we
Hmm.
had patients from emergency room come into the observation. It's normally called the 23 hours department. So we're there, we run all the testing, do everything we have to do. If the patient is going to stay any extra day, we allocate the patient to the unit they are meant to be, whether that's med surge or cardiac unit, I mean, like telemetry cardiac unit, or maybe they go for surgery the next day, or maybe they go to, so all these things. And also, they have nurses that work in the operation rooms too. And that is a different things. They have their own different orientation. Nursing is a very dynamic, diverse institute. It's like you can never be limited to one thing. If you're tired of bedside nursing, which is what they call the nurses that work in the hospital, you can move into administration or you can move into managerial role. And that's just a good thing about nursing is there is never a limit to where you want to be or what you want to do. It's always a go, go, go kind of thing. So, which is a good thing. So,
Yeah.
based on that, when you graduate as a nurse, most hospitals, and I believe now like 98% of hospitals here in America do this thing they call residency program or graduate nursing program. And what they do is that they you get into the hospital and they train you for a whole year, maybe a year or 1 or 6 months, depending on the hospital and how they set their program. But the hospital I currently work in, I know they train their nurses for a year. So for that 1 year, what you're going to be doing, you're going to be on the floor. I mean, when I mean floor, I mean the unit. And when I mean the unit, it's like you're going to be working. So we
Okay.
call the um, the hospital the floor. That was the word, the kind of unit of floor, you know. So you're gonna be working, but what you're gonna be doing is that for the first maybe 3 months, you're gonna have a preceptor. What preceptor is like someone, an experienced nurse, you're gonna be working with. This person, so if I'm an experienced nurse and I have a new grad into my unit and they give me the new grad to train, um I have no, so they kind of like give you different nurses most times. So for those 3 months, if I have 4 patients for that first week at least, you may just observe me and how things are being done on the unit. And then as you get comfortable as a new grad, you may take 1 patient and see how you're coping with that. And after that, you take 2 patients. And after that, you take 3 patients. And after that, you can be taking 4 patients. But the purpose of this program is that you're not alone as a new grad because you never have any experience being on the bedside. You are not alone. You have resources, your preceptor, you have your charge nurse, you have your resource nurses, you have your manager. So these are the resources or leadership, nurse leadership. You have all these people that you can go ask questions. So this experienced nurse kind of directs you and help you to know what the policies and protocols in terms of caring for patients. So that was what the residency program kind of does. And not just that, I believe once a month in most of the programs, you guys, I mean, the new grad nurses are going to have like a in-class training. And in that in-class training, they train you about everything, depending on the department you're working in. So, for instance, if you're working in, let me see, if you're working in like maybe the emergency department or emergency room, you can get training from stroke, how what it means when a patient comes in for stroke. This is kind of like you have like a stimulation lab whereby they can set you up on a scenario and you all have to play it out. And then you have all these nurse educators, they are called, that will help you to streamline things to do, things to check out for, and then, help you to develop yourself as a nurse. So it's a really good program, I believe. But that is for a new grad. And what the interesting thing is, what they're doing now is that when you do that for 1 year, then you have to work in that hospital for another year. And if you still want to remain in the hospital, fine. If you want to move somewhere else, then that's an option for you.
How easy it is for one to move to somewhere else, even after like a year training with a particular hospital?
Very easy. Like the thing now, I think, so now things are getting easier in the sense of um license. So I got my registered nursing license, and then you're going to state the state of in the US where you want to, where you got or where you're trying to work in. So my first
Okay.
job was in Florida, for instance, and I got my license to be in Florida. But there's a new thing that came up, and it's called like a compact state license, like a multi-state license, and that's what I also have too. And this multi-state license, hopefully by God's grace, majority of the states in America are going into this compact state license, which means that if I opt into getting, I have my multi-state license, and it's still the same fees. But what that helps me to do is that any state in America that is under that multi-state license,
I work there.
I can work there. So that's the good thing. So like the state of Florida is under it, the state of Maryland, the state of um, Georgia, and all these other states. I believe there are like 20 something states under the multi-state license, and that enables you to move. You move to a different state without you applying individually for those license. And that's what has changed over the period of nursing, like registered nursing. So
And
that's
that's
the
that's
good
that's, that's
provision.
really good because
Mm-hmm.
people will not be constrained in terms of, oh, if I decide to go to another state, I will need to do another exam. With that, with having that compass, people can really move to any state
Yeah.
that they want, as long as the
Hmm.
state is on that particular compass. That's really good.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, it's a good thing.
Yeah. So I want to ask this question because
Hmm.
it just crossed my mind now. So does that mean that why in college or university, nurse, while studying nurse, you guys don't focus on any particular area?
Hmm. Yeah, we don't. They teach you fundamental in nursing, general nursing, and you have clinicals. The clinicals rotation is like when I was in school, I had psych. I went to the mental ward psych unit. We had women and child. That is, I did another clinical in the women, from women's health to labor and delivery to postpartum. Um, and we had some rotation in breastfeeding for one day, I believe. Um, then I had pediatric, so which is kind of the neonatal ICU to the regular oncology, and regular floor for just peds. And peds is from age 17 below. And then we did general medical surgery, which is like the adult med surge, which is pretty much another rotation you go into. Um, I think those are the major, and then we did community health, um, clinical rotations. So while you're in school, they're going to expose you to all these different departments, which is part of your clinical. And then I think most people, in when I was in school, kind of had their little passion. I knew people that just like wanted to start with kids, so, like they wanted to care for babies, and that was what they wanted to do. And once they graduated from school, they applied to the program. They applied to get a job there. People knew that they wanted to do emergency room, and so people kind of have that feeling before they graduate. Or some people can just be like, I don't know, and they start up with med surge and kind of find where they want to go next. But
Right.
yeah, it's a very diverse place thing to do. You learn every day. I learn every day. I started off as observation, but
Mm.
I have been to different units over the course. I think the only thing I haven't done is psych pretty much. But I started with observation and then I went into cardiac telemetry unit and I went into progressive care unit. And then I went into cardiac catheterization unit. And then med surge, I've done um, rehab med surge. And what else? I think
Are
I've,
all,
yeah,
all this process determined by you?
all the work, I'm sorry.
The process that you just said you went through, all the department you went through, was it determined by you or determined by the hospital where you worked?
So the thing is that when I started, I didn't know what I wanted to be in. So I started I think my very first position was a float nurse. I wanted to be a float nurse. I wanted to when you mean float is like I didn't want to belong to any unit. I wanted to be cross trained. So I was cross trained in all most of the major units. So that was how I started before I then liked this particular unit called observation. And then after like maybe 6 months, I joined the observation unit and I started working in observation. But my first position was float nurse. So I worked in every unit. So that was the position I wanted. So when I went for the interview and everything, they had a float nurse position open and I told them I want to be a float nurse. And they started training me. I did like I want to say like I don't know, 2.5 month training because this was COVID. So nobody really was there to train you much. And then it was like I just did a quick training and then boom, that was it. But now it's more intense, like the nurses to go through the process. So yeah, and I worked in a smaller hospital. And that's just a good thing about it is that when you work in a smaller hospital, the protocol is not as black and white as when you're working in a very prestige university hospital or teaching hospital or something. So um so yeah, being a smaller hospital, it was just like there are lots of gray areas whereby we could scale through lots of things. We had like LPNs. LPN is more like a licensed practice nurse, which is a lower level of registered nurses. But now in most bigger hospitals, they don't really have LPNs because LPNs are, I don't know. It's a more lower education, let's say, than a registered nurse. So it's just different. But that's like another different type of nursing.
Okay, my next question is going to be based on what you said not so long ago. Is it okay to start a nursing uh, not career, but starting a nursing in university without knowing the paths you want to go yet?
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. It just if you know nursing is for you, I think you should just go for it. I think nursing is a good career. I think nursing, which when I came to America, I know like people be like, oh, go into nursing as an international student. But one never really knows like it's very valuable in terms of job opportunity and also um legalization. I feel the legal part of being a registered nurse in terms of moving from international student to being a legal resident is very straightforward than
I know,
any
I know,
other
I know. You and I
thing.
had that discussion sometimes
Yeah.
on
Mm-hmm.
phone, and
Yeah.
that leads us to the next question because I know not all international students want to come to US and study and go back to their home country. Some
Yeah.
want to get back.
Mm-hmm.
How easy it is to get a job after your program as a nursing student?
So, so um, it is quite easy, I would say. Like once you pass your board exam, there are lots of agencies and hospitals that have a part of you getting a job. And being an international student, you have two ways to do it. Either you go with your OPT and work with OPT and trust that the hospital could file for you, or you just sign a contract with an agency and use your OPT while they I believe you know what OPT is because I believe I've gone through your channel
For the
and I know
benefit
that
of our
you use
viewer,
that word.
OPT, for the benefit of our viewer, I want to say OPT is what you get as an international student when you finish your study. It's like a work authorization that allow you to work. For nursing, how many years do you guys get?
So we still get the 1 year, but what happens is that if you join a program, like if you're like for me, you sign a contract for with like a 2 years contract or two and a half. Some people do like 3,000 hours or 2,000 hours, depending on the agencies. So you sign this contract with these agencies, and you just have to be very mindful. Make sure you read the contract and all that, and know what the agencies are. There are a bunch of agencies everywhere, and they will take you to places they have hospitals. Now, this is the difference: is that most of these agencies are allocated with some hospitals. They are working with some hospitals. So depending on the person or the agency you sign with, they will allocate you to the hospitals they are in contract with, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so what then happens is that you do your OPT for 1 year. They're gonna take all your information, whether you're married or you're single. If you're married, they will also help you to do for your children or your husband or your spouse, I mean. And
Even
if
if they
you're
are
not,
not in the States,
I'm sorry.
even if your spouse or your kids are not in the States.
I believe I don't 100% know that, but I know I've heard of my if a distance person I know about, her partner had to fly in to submit the document. So, but her children was with her while she was doing the process. So I know, like, I don't really know how it 100% works if the person is not in the States, but yeah. Well, I know that they can help families. And let me just answer this question and then I'll divert to something else.
Okay.
So you the agency helps you out. You just have to fulfill your own contract with them. And the thing is, the difference is that once you're done with your OPT, you do this contract with the agencies and the agencies pay you. Once your contract is over, you get your green card. And the
Hmm.
green card is like a legal, what's it called? Green card,
Yeah, I know what
uh,
allow you to
your,
come to the United States
yeah,
and
your
so on.
legal, your permanent resident. Sorry, that's what I was going to say. You get your permanent residence, and with that, you can leave the agency, which 100% people will do because it enables you to spread your wings and fly any other place you want
Oh,
to go because now you're not a legal person in America. So you're not tied down to anything else. So most people just, just stay there, get that done and get that legalization and you can go back to school and if you want to take loans to go back to school, you can do that. Or if you want to try something else, move to a different state or do any other thing you want to do, you're free to do all that. It just gives you that legalization to do anything or go anywhere you want to go without feeling like you have to like show some form of employment authorization. So
hmm.
that's just it. That was like an easy pathway, I believe. So you don't have to do the whole H-1B process. It's just
So so you guys
OPT, employment authorization, and then the
permanent
um,
resident.
permanent residence.
So you guys have it from her now. Um, you don't even need to worry about the H-1B visa. For some of you who know what H-1B visa is, it's also like a work authorization that mostly company also do for you. But in this case, as a nurse, from your OPT to the agency, getting you work authorization, from there to your green card. That's really nice. And
Mm-hmm.
from what you said earlier on, I want to bring out a question there. And you said something about reading the contract that the agency are giving you. Is there any reason why you lay emphasis on that? I know that as an individual, when you are going into any contract, it's advisable that you read it
Yeah,
very well, you understand. If possible, give it to your attorney for them to really like go through it for you. But is there any reason why you lay emphasis on that?
because sometimes it's it's a well, like, so in terms of pay, it's kind of like you're paying them to help you with your papers, kind of, or your legalization, I would say. So
Hmm.
it's sometimes it can be some fine prints whereby you need to be 100% sure how much hours they need you to work.
Hmm.
If you work overtime, and I mean overtime is like as a nurse, I can only work 3 days a week. That is a full-time job for me. 3 days a week is all you're required to work as a nurse.
And
Um,
hold on. 3 days a week. And how many hours are you
12
doing?
hour shifts
12-hour shift.
in
Okay.
hospitals if you're working in hospitals.
Yeah, that's going to be
So
36 hours in a week.
that's 6 hours a week. So anything above 36 in a week, depending on the hospital and the contract. That is why I'm like, it can be considered overtime. So
Hmm.
in this contract, you need to figure out, are they making me work 4 days a week or are they making me work 3 days a week? Because you're meant to work 3 days a week. If I work any extra days, that extra pay for me, or will I still have to pay any form of, So these are like some things you need to figure out before you sign a contract because the agencies or those people, the agencies mostly are the hospital pay them in a way and then they pay you.
Hmm.
So it's it's like a third party kind of thing. So it's just being careful to know how much is my pay and um, can I negotiate the pay or can I if I work extra hours, does that count towards my amount of time I have to spend with you people? How many, like, I asked the agencies, like, has anyone ever not, like, has there been any case whereby a person does not get like their legal, what's it called? Um, their resident permit after they finish staying, completing their contract, things like
My last question is going to be, what's
that.
your advice for international students who are considering coming to United States to study nursing?
I think it's worth it. If that's your passion, go for it. I think it's worth it. Even if it's not your passion 100%, if you're confused on what you want to go to school for and you feel like you can study and pass your exams and do well in school, then also go for nursing. I think it's a very good, degree for one to have.
So you heard it from her. If it's your passion and it's something you want, go for it. And like I always said, don't let your background put you down. There's nothing you cannot achieve as a person as long as you put your mind to it. So this is
Exactly.
going to draw the curtain for this interview or this section with Chidinma. I want to say thank you very much for taking time out
Mm.
to speak to my audience about becoming nurse or studying nursing major in United States. Thank you very much.
No problem. It was my pleasure. Thank you.
So guys, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed to the channel. Let me also know what you think about the contents in the comment section. And like I said, giving up is not an option.